we are basically exploiting these biases though.
Yes,
We're basically exploiting them. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I have actually. So earlier in the year, like obviously COVID makes you question everything, and I had a bit of like an existential crisis
your
of
whole
like, what
life.
am I doing? Why am I doing this? Why am I tricking people into doing this thing online? Like I felt really like I was manipulating people online.
Well, you are.
I kind of sat back.
You are doing that.
You are. Well, yeah, to a level you are. That is what you're doing as a job.
In this conversation, we talk about why companies should embrace experimentation. We talk about career progression, negotiating salaries, and even overcoming our own biases. I hope you find this conversation just as insightful and fun as I did. Well, you are.
Kind of sat back.
You are doing that.
You are. Well, yeah, to a level you are. That is what you're doing as a job. And I kind of sat back and I was like, what, is this what I want to be doing? And I realised that actually I think I do enjoy it. And if it's for a brand like Specsavers, they are, although they're there to make money, they are there to ultimately help you. Like they are genuinely giving you a vision and you're hearing back. So I think I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of drew the line, like when I was looking around at roles, there was a gambling agency, and I was like,
yeah,
you know what? No,
no,
I'm not going to do that. I don't think. So I think I'd be quite, it questions your morals. I think sometimes you do have to like draw a line with yourself and be like, right, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I thought about that a lot. But I think the best explanation I gave to myself was, well, quite simply, it's a tool. And this is what I love about humans and our evolution and knowledge is that at every single stage we empower ourselves with new tools and we cannot run away or be shy from that tool. And you just made a really good point there. You've got gambling agencies hiring CROs. So if you're not the one doing it, someone else will. So I take on this approach of learning as much as possible so I can then share that knowledge with other people.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, and I think that's what I do. Maybe that's my way to make myself sleep at night.
I wanted a job where I was always learning, and when I found CRO, I knew that would be it because you are. And I guess leadership wise, I've just like pushed in my position to be where I am today. Like they talk about owning your own development, and I think I just really do that. Like I'm always going, I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm listening to this podcast. The amount of cognitive bias books I've read is actually obscene. I should stop reading them. It's a bit of an addiction.
Once you open that kind of worms line, it's I know
you just can't stop. And I think there's this weird unconscious thing where women just don't necessarily think they're good enough for something. Like I've definitely experienced that. Like I never ever thought I'd be capable of what I'm doing today. Like I'd left school, had you sat me down and said in X amount of years time this will be you, I'd have laughed. I'd have said no way, I'm not going to achieve that, definitely not. And whether that's because I'm a woman or whether it's because I'm from a small island, I don't know. But certainly even when I was interviewing, I was looking at roles and going, oh, there's a few things on here I can't
especially
do.
With jobs. A lot of women end up going to like junior roles as well. It's like, why are you constantly going towards junior roles? Like, why don't you? It's like that thing of not being able to, I guess, see your value or correctly assess it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, as a woman, you definitely have to learn your worth and state your worth. And I think you learn that through experience. Like when I was offered the role at Conversion, I was literally, are you serious? Like you're actually offering this to me? What? And that's not how you should feel. You should feel like, yes, I definitely have earned this position. Yes. That's correct that you're offering this, but it's nuts. And I think, you definitely do learn it. I think maybe women just learn it later in life, or maybe it's that role model that teaches you. I'm not sure, but definitely it's something that I've learned over the last probably 2 years. When I moved into the digital team, I had a really, really empowering female manager, and like she was completely against the norms of life. Like you grow up, especially in small town Guernsey, thinking that you need to do a certain thing in a certain order at a certain age. And actually she was like the polar opposite. She was like, go do this, go make a lateral move, do this, do that. You don't have to have like career progression that just goes straight up. You live in another country, go do this, go do that. Like you don't have to settle down, blah, blah, blah. And she kind of changed my outlook on life, to be honest. Like I hold a lot of that year in my life, like to her to say, actually, you really kind of made me think about what do you want in life, and you don't have to be doing what other people are doing. So I think it comes down to like meeting someone that is going to show you that. If you're always in that zone of like, yeah, women should do this and men should do that, then you probably will stay there unless you start kind of reading and educating yourself around it. But yeah, I think having role models in my life that are very much like, go do what you want to do. Like, so I think society got in this really weird place where people were grateful they had jobs and they didn't feel like they could ask for anything. But the job market's huge now. Ask for it. Like, you get what you're worth.
Yeah, it's flipped now because there's definitely a big demand now because it's the employees now that are now like, that are now the ones that are in demand, right? People need staff. How do you go around negotiating the right salary? Or at least one that you feel, do you know what, I'm proud of this?
Yeah, I guess for me, I've never been one to kind of ask for more. I've always just wanted to be paid fairly, to my counterparts, whether they're male or female.
So how do you know though, in this, especially right now in the market, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to know.
I've looked around quite a lot on LinkedIn because some people will publish what they're asking, and there is, there's some studies around digital expertise and stuff, but I think it's just kind of saying, like when I interviewed, I said I'd like, between X and X, and I'm not accepting less than that. And if that's just where I stand. And I think if anyone was to say, oh, well, we'd offer you less, then I wouldn't want to work for a company like that because they don't see your worth.
But why shouldn't you talk about salary? I don't know. I think that's a really weird clause.
I don't know. I don't know why companies... I do know why companies say it's because they pay people unfairly.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you talking about it. That's exactly why. But
yeah,
I think if a company is paying people fairly and correctly, why is it an issue to talk about it? Because a lot of people just won't research. They just won't.
True.
Their employer will add on more and more stuff throughout the years, and you might get a report here and a report there and a report here, and you don't ask for more, or you get a nominal increase. But then when you actually benchmarked, it's different, completely different. If you went out and got that job, it would be different too. So I think it's not being afraid to actually do your research. Ask for what you want. And if they're not prepared to give you what you want, then you need to be learning and earning. That's what I say.
True.
And if you're not getting them, then you should go.
True. That's a really good... I like that. Learning and earning. Always. It's an iterative process, isn't it?
Exactly. And, people always say it's not all about the money, but it's a value exchange. You're not working to not make money, right? You're working to make money, and they're employing you for you to make them money. So why are people afraid to talk about it?
Very true. Very true. I agree with that. I like that.